Hey, what's up, folks? Rich Van Tassel with you, giving you a recap of some of the games that just went final in the 1 o'clock slot for Week 15 of the NFL season. The New York Giants improved to 10-4, 7-1 at home with a 17-6 win over the Detroit Lions. They snapped the Lions' 5-game winning streak. Detroit drops to 9-5. Matthew Stafford, 24 of 39, 273 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Running was not there for the Lions today. Dwayne Washington, 14 of 31, 2.2 yards per carry. Matthew Stafford, 2 of 13, 6.5 yards per carry. Zach Zenner, 3 of 12, 4 yards per carry. Altogether, 19 of 56, 2.9 yards per rush. Zach Zenner had a big fumble in this game. It came in the red zone. It was inside the 10, actually. That cost Detroit definitely some points, if not a touchdown. Golden Tate, top receiver, 8 for 112. Zach Zenner, 4 for 52. Marvin Jones, 3 for 41. We discussed the Zach Zenner fumble that was lost. Andre Roberts also fumbled. It was not lost. It went out of bounds. They had 2 sacks. Ezekiel Ansah had one. Anthony Zettel had the other. No interceptions. Nothing of note in the return games. Matt Prater 2 for 2 in his field goals for the Giants. Eli Manning started off hot in this game. And I mean, he cooled off a little, but he was 11 for 11, so of course you're going to cool off somewhat. He finished 20 of 28, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Giants found a running game in this one. Paul Perkins, 11 carries, 56 yards, 5.1 yards per rush. Rashad Jennings, 18 of 38, 2.1. The team altogether 32 carries, 114 yards, 3.6 yards per rush. Odell Beckham Jr., top receiver, 6 for 64. He had a touchdown. Sterling Shepard, 4 for 56. He also had a touchdown. Victor Cruz had a 29-yarder. Will Tye, 4 for 25. Olivier Vernon recovered the fumble. They had 1 sack. It was a split sack, though, between Olivier Vernon and Jonathan Hankins. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie had an interception at the end of the game, sealed it. Game may have been over at that point anyway, but that certainly ended it. Robbie Gould 1 for 1 in his field goals. So, Detroit, they could not get the running game going. This game was really all about the Giants' defense. In my opinion, they were very good yet again, and they're really starting to come along. They're shutting down the run game, which I think is the most impressive thing of what they're doing. When you do that and you force teams to pass, even in this pass-happy NFL, you certainly dictate your success a bit more when you're forcing teams to pass, so the Giants were able to do that. The Cleveland Browns dropping to 0-14, 0-7 on the road as they lost to the Buffalo Bills, who are now 7-7, 4-3 at home. The Buffalo Bills still trying to keep their faint playoff hopes alive. Robert Griffin III, 17 of 28, 196 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Robert Griffin III was the top rusher, 8 carries, 48 yards, 6 yards per rush, a touchdown. Duke Johnson Jr., 5 for 31, 6.2 yards per rush. The team altogether 21 carries, 107 yards, 5.1 yards per rush. For a team that hasn't run that ball that awful, and actually fairly decent this entire season, to be 0-14 is not only reflective of the organization, but of the quarterback play as well. Duke Johnson Jr., top receiver, 5 for 62. Gary Barnidge, 2 for 35. Andrew Hawkins, 1 for 33. Robert Griffin III, Duke Johnson Jr., both fumbled. They were not lost. Isaiah Crowell recovered a fumble. The team had only 1 sack. It was Emmanuel Ogbah. No interceptions. And Cody Parkey was 2 for 2 in his field goals. For the Buffalo Bills, Tyrod Taylor, 17 of 24, 174 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. E.J. Manuel threw a pass in this game. It was not completed. LaShawn McCoy at times has been very good this year. This was another one of those games. 19 carries, 153 yards, 8.1 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Tyrod Taylor, 7 of 49, 7 yards per rush. Mike Gillislee, 9 for 37, 4.1 yards per rush. Brandon Tate had a 30-yard run. Jonathan Williams, 3 for... altogether the team was 40 of 287 yards per rush, 3 touchdowns. With the way they've run the ball this year, for Buffalo not to be above 500, it's pretty porous in that regard. Charles Clay, top receiver, 7 of 72. Marquise Goodwin, 3 for 43. Clay had a touchdown. Justin Hunter, 1 of 16. No fumbles. The team had 5 sacks. Marcel Darius, who guaranteed a win, did not have any of them, however. No interceptions. Dan Carpenter, 2 for 2 in his field goals. So, a lot's going to be determined for the Buffalo Bills today when New England goes to play the Denver Broncos. Certainly a New England victory would help them out a lot. But, they're going to be kicking themselves the last 2 weeks playing big games. that could have helped them mightily in the playoff race. They were not able to get either one of those victories against the Steelers or the Raiders. So even if they went out and go 9-7 and are on the outside looking in, they'll have to be looking at the victories they had a chance to get. The Colts rocked the Minnesota Vikings 34-6. Colts keeping their playoff hopes alive. For a moment, Vikings are fading fast. Andrew Luck 21 of 28. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Frank Gore, 26 carries, 101 yards. No touchdowns. Robert Turbin, 7 of 32, 4.6 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Altogether, the team 40 of 161. That's just over 4 yards per carry. And the 2 touchdowns by Robert Turbin. Philip Dorsett, top receiver, a 50-yard touchdown reception. Eric Swoop, 3 catches for 50 yards, a touchdown. T.Y. Hilton, 3 for 45. Mike Adams and Henry Anderson both recovered fumbles. They had 5 sacks. Usually it's the other way around. We'll see how many sacks Minnesota had. Eric Walden 2, Zach Kerr 1, Robert Mathis 1, T.Y. McGill 1. But Minnesota didn't have any sacks. I just looked real quick. Mike Adams had the interceptions. So you look at it that way, you usually don't see the Indianapolis Colts out-sack a team 5-0, especially a team like the Minnesota Vikings who have such a good defensive line. Adam Vinatieri 2 for 2 in his field goals. For the Vikings, Sam Bradford pretty poor in this game. Actually, not too bad. 32 of 42, 291 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interceptions. I'm surprised they struggled as much on offense when your quarterback only has 10 incompletions and over 30 completions and almost 300 yards with only 1 interception. Adrian Peterson, 6 carries, 22 yards, 3.7 yards per rush. Jerick McKinnon, 3 for 12. So even with Adrian Peterson back, the running game continues to struggle. Kyle Rudolph, 8 for 97 receiving. Jerick McKinnon, 9 for 59. Charles Johnson, 5 for 50. Adrian Peterson and Sam Bradford both lost fumbles. You just see the Packers won a game, so we may do that or do that one later. No sacks, as we said. Kai Forbath, 2 for 2 in his field goal. So Indianapolis able to protect Andrew Luck. Their running game was fairly solid in this one, so let's see if they can develop that. We'll get into this in a moment because the Texans are right now playing with a chance to win. They have the lead, and what we'll do right now or after this one is the Tennessee game. Go into that and the playoff implications. Tennessee won, of course. We'll get into more of that in a minute. But certainly Indianapolis had to have this. I don't know if Minnesota can get it together at this point. Even though they're not eliminated, they just have way too many things that are not going right for them. They can't seem to figure out. They can't get the running game going. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on the rest of the way. And I'm not sure they can do it. The Tennessee Titans with a wild victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, 19-7 to 19-17. Tennessee now 8-6, 4-3 at home. Kansas City drops to 10-4. Marcus Mariota 19 of 33, 241 yards, no touchdown, 1 interceptions. DeMarco Murray running 18 carries, 89 yards, 4.9 yards per rush. Derrick Henry 9 for 58, 6.4 yards per rush. He had 2 touchdowns. Rashard Matthews top receiver 4 for 105. Delaney Walker 6 for 56. DeMarco Murray 5 for 52. He had a big 4th down catch in this game. Rashard Matthews and Marcus Mariota both lost fumbles. They had only 1 sack. It was Brian Orakpo. We've talked about Tennessee's defensive line. They're good, or the front 7 at least. Brian Orakpo is more of a pass-rushing linebacker. LaShawn Sims had an interception. Mark Mariano 3 kick returns for 63 yards. That's 20 yards per return. Nothing great. Ryan Suckup 2 for 2 in his field goals. He made a 53-yarder as time expired to win the game. We'll get into more of that at the end. Alex Smith 15 for 28, 163 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception. A few too many incompletions for him. Spencer Ware, 18 carries, 70 yards, 3.9 yards per rush. Tyreek Hill had a 68-yard touchdown run. Alex Smith, 4 carries for 11 yards. He also had a touchdown. The team altogether 28 of 158, 5.6 yards per rush. And the 2 touchdowns you take off that 68-yarder, though, they're at 27 carries for 90 yards. That's under 4 yards per carry. Jeremy Maclin, top receiver, 6 for 82. Travis Kelce, 3 for 41. Spencer Ware, 3 for 25. Kansas City, fumble-wise, Daniel Sorensen, Ramik Wilson recovered fumbles. Alex Smith fumbled. Tyreek Hill fumbled, and they were not lost. Hill recovered a fumble. Spencer Ware also recovered a fumble. They had only 1 sack. It was Dontari Poe. Ron Parker had an interception. Cairo Santos 1 for 1 in his field goals. So Tennessee, they were down 17-10. Were down most of this game. With about 3 minutes left, they scored a touchdown. It was 17-16. Decided to go for 2. I liked the call as far as going for 2. I did not like the play call, but especially in that situation when there's 3 minutes left and the other team's going to get the ball back. Even though Tennessee didn't have any timeouts left, They would still have to run 2 plays before the 2-minute warning. If you miss it, you'd have a chance to get a game-winning field goal, which they did, getting the ball back. But also, you look at it, make or miss, you're going to have to stop the Chiefs anyway, because they're going to have plenty of time and they're going to go down to score. If anything, by missing that field goal, you give yourself more of a chance to get the ball back, I'd say, because the offense may not be looking to push the ball downfield. They may be trying to run the ball. So certainly it was an interesting situation. And coming away with it were the Tennessee Titans. They got the ball back, kicked the field goal. Big road victory for them. I like the way this team is coming along. And we'll stop right there. We'll come back in a little bit. We have some other games that just went final. We'll get those once this one's uploaded, but be sure to stay tuned for that. We'll finish off with the 1 o'clock games, and of course, when the 4 o'clock games go final as well, we'll pick those up. So be sure to stay tuned in a little bit. And remember, we appreciate all subscriptions. Thank you all very much.